When somebody takes a bite of food in a José Andrés restaurant, what do you want them to experience?
Well, listen, restaurants are, without a doubt, just part of the ecosystem of cities, of the countryside. They are like oases in the middle of the beauty of the mountains. But restaurant is a place of comfort. I mean, the word has many origins, but one of them will be from restoration. You went to the restaurant to restore yourself. Sometimes physically, emotionally, spiritually. In the old days, the monks. And I believe, in a certain way, restaurants are that still today. So when they come to my restaurant, I wanna make sure people come to a place they feel like a home, but also you feel like you have a responsibility not only use to have food that is good and people will enjoy, but the ones that want to engage with you is a way to learn more about something. I always say that I don't open restaurants, I tell stories. Every one of my restaurants in a way is a story. And when they eat, I want them to have the best possible of times, but sometimes if they only are used to fill their physical needs, it's fine. But we are always going to be there with them if they want to make it into a bigger experience. When somebody comes to Jaleo, my first restaurant, the Spanish restaurant, and they eat in a croqueta, they are not eating just a dish that is very iconic tapa in Spain, but they are eating a dish that during the post-Civil War era, where there was not a lot of food, is what every grandmother, mother, or father will cook with the leftovers to make sure they will be able to feed the family. You see, it's now an iconic tapa that is very tasty, and it's competitions about who makes the best one. But if you go deeper, that dish itself, the croqueta, we can be talking about social, political situations in Spain, of civil war, of hunger, of low-income families, in a much deeper way. Obviously, you don't come to a restaurant, you don't want to be listening
No,
the cook or the poor waiter having to explain every one of those.
Right.
But this only, food can be something as simple as having a good time, but very often sometimes food is so much more.
Now, I've lived in DC now, not quite as long as you, but almost, since the mid-90s. And you've changed the DC. Now everybody comes to DC for restaurants, and you can't get into a restaurant for love or money. But it wasn't like that. When you opened Jaleo 30 years ago, there wasn't much like that in DC. You changed the way people ate here.
Yes and no. I've been giving too much credit for bringing Spanish cooking to America. Spanish cooking was already in America. Did I help popularize it more? Maybe, but it was already here. I've been giving a lot of credit to make Washington, D.C. a power force. Well, I did my part. When I arrived, we had chefs like Jean-Louis Paladin, chef of chefs, Roberto Donna,
I know.
powerhouse of Italian, Nora Puyon, powerhouse of organic before anybody was talking about organic and local. Bob Kincaid, the king of Mid-Atlantic cooking. Jeff Boobin, the king of Southern cooking. The list never ends. So when I came, I feel I came to a city that was culinarily extraordinary. I mean, I'm forgetting Gerard Pangot, Yannick Kam. Oh my God, Mary Richter, Anne Cashin. I can keep going. But I have a feeling like for some reasons, Washington was not seen a great culinary city compared maybe to other cities like Chicago, New York, but actually was super powerful. So I feel I came to a great place because many of these chefs, me as a young chef they kind of embraced me. They kind of helped me. They welcomed me.
Do you still enjoy being in the kitchen? Do you still enjoy the process?
I do, but more in my home.
Than in the restaurant kitchen?
Right now, yeah. I like to be in the restaurant kitchen, but I like the tranquility of my home. I mean, I've been cooking now, like many of us, but I've been already cooking. I'm on my way to 40 years cooking, let's put it this way. In the restaurants, I have people that cook better than me. Why? Because they do it every day. So why I want to get in the middle? You know, I feel like I'm in this moment that I went from being a player at the event to now being more the coach on the sidelines. I think I'm in the transition to that moment.
I mean, obviously I'm English, and I see, and I've spent most of my life
You're
in
English
Europe.
with this accent. I will not
No.
say you're English.
Oh, you thought I was from Alabama?
Yeah, you have an accent.
No, do you have an accent?
I don't understand when people tell me you have an accent. You know what I'm thinking inside me? It's like, what do they think? I think about them. Like, okay, my accent may be, but anyway, we all have an
Do you get
accent.
people saying to you, "I love your accent"? I get it
Yeah.
5 times a day.
Obviously. But my daughters, that they say, Daddy, please, first time I go to school with them, please, Daddy, don't speak English to us in front of our friends, okay? Speak Spanish and we'll translate. I'm like, what? It was hard.
Yeah.
Hard. This immigrant father, my God.
My kids are the same. Let's go and talk in your office. Most, I think, chefs would be happy, satisfied with the incredible restaurant empire that you've built all around this country, all around the world. You weren't satisfied. It wasn't enough. You then expanded into your relief work with World Central Kitchen and helping in disaster zones. What was it that was pushing you to work there? There aren't many chefs, Jose, who did that, who have done anything like what you've done.
No, but it was not about not being satisfied. It was more about seeing a problem and watching it on TV and saying, man, can I join those men and women there to help them bring relief to others? And I think I'm a very impatient guy, and I don't like to see the things on the sidelines. I like to be in the game in a way. And it's when World Central Kitchen just happened from this kind of personal need to don't feel useless or don't feel like I was not doing something when, you know, in my brain, I do believe if you want, anything can be achieved. But you cannot do it just talking or clapping. You have to do it with boots on the ground. It's the only way I know how to make things happen. And therefore is when I began just getting on a plane when 2010 Haiti earthquake happened, that hundreds of thousands of lives were lost, and we saw the devastation in an already very poor country. And I said, let me go, not so much to help, but let me go to start learning. Not watching from the comfort of my home the horrors I was seeing on TV, but being there on the ground, trying to see if my idea is that a cook like me and others, we could bring quick, fast food relief in a very effective way, it could be possible. And slowly, as I began learning, was possible. It doesn't require more than just the willingness to make it happen. It's all it takes.
What gave you the confidence to do it?
Well, I've been always, I will say, a very confident guy. At least in the outside, not like inside. I'm not like, what the heck is going on? How I get out of this one? But, you know, I think all my life I've been very lucky. My mom was always a person that, she was a nurse, and she always was like, let's help everybody. I mean, everybody will be helping a family going through a hard time, helping a friend because got injured. But my mom was this type of person. But if you think about it, we all know people that are like that. So for me, the confidence was used to say anything we do, even if it's very little, is more than absolutely nothing.
You've been to so many disaster zones now, Guatemala, Bahamas, Haiti, all over the United States. When you go and you feed people and you set up kitchens, how do you feel when you leave?
Number one, success is doing as much as you can, and you get to know people and families. The people that help us be more successful, that they are the ones making us successful, the locals. The family, sometimes you get close because you show up every day. and you see that they are thankful that you are there with them, and you see them getting slightly better every day. In the case they lost their home, but even if they lost their home, they appreciate you are there next to them, and you develop bonds that they become real in very short period of time. And then leaving one of those emergencies is always hard. But at the same time, we need to differentiate pure emergency from pure reconstruction and future development. But yes, for me, I have sometimes, and I know this goes for every other member of World Central Kitchen or every other member in any organization that works in emergency, that sometimes at night you are thinking, maybe a year later, what's happening with that family or what's happening with that town. And sometimes that's kind of, it's a little weight. That's why when I can, on my own, when I'm in the area, I try to go to some of those communities, just walk around, just to try to see how they are doing today versus 1 or 2 or 3 years ago. For me, this has been always personally very important because it's almost a way to put closure in my brain that, you know, we did what we could. We brought as much relief as we could. We gave a big push for that community to start reconstruction quicker and faster. But for me personally, it's been always very important to try to go back. I don't do it everywhere because the world is a very big place and we go. But for me, when I've been back to Bahamas or when I've been back to Colombia or Venezuela, even places that still the issues keep happening. But I try to go just to understand what is the actual situation versus the day I put my boots on the ground for the first time.
Did something make you always want to help, do you think?
Well, listen, I'm not any different than everybody. We all do help. We all pick up a piece of paper and put it in the garbage.
We all, yeah.
This is a great way to help your city be cleaner. We all volunteer in our local church or synagogue.
Right, but you do it on a big scale.
You know, to do something big, you need to start somewhere with one meal. Cooks like me, we feed the few. But we have the same talent and knowledge if we bring it to emergencies to feed the many. We cannot all leave family and work and business and go to help somebody else. But many do. You don't need to go far away. You can do it in your own neighborhood. You don't need to go to another continent. You can do it in your own country. And that's the people I'm always very inspired by because our cities need to be run by our mayors, our states, by the governors, the country by the presidents and Congress. But should be not only the role of the politicians, even we should be asking a lot from them, but also citizenship has to do their part in running a city. We cannot be finger pointing at the problems to the politicians or to the other party if the things go wrong. We all need to be part of helping our society and our communities work. In emergencies cannot be only to the government to provide relief.
You're a very busy man, so we don't have very much time with you, but I wanted to show you some photographs.
Okay.
Oh, this is, if you could just turn like this.
We have an emergency right now. Yeah.
Now I'll show you the right way up.
Well, this is a good moment, a good celebration. Obviously, 30 years of my first restaurant there. My partner, Rob Wilder, who is next to Roberto Alvarez, the two guys that hired me and gave me the opportunity to be there.
Does it feel like a long time ago?
It feels
when
long,
you opened
but
Jaleo?
there you see people, we've been together, because it's not they've been with me, I've been with them for I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of years in this photo alone that we've been together.
That's
and
lovely.
that's when people say, oh, Jaleo is a great place. Well, it's not a great place because I, the person, but it's an amazing place because we, the people.
Yeah. It's the story you told me earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's...
Do you recognize that?
That's Puerto Rico Maria, very early on in the days of September. Category 5 cuts through Puerto Rico, 4 million Americans in the Caribbean. This is a restaurant called José Enrique, He's not in the photo. Actually, he's in the photo right here. A good friend, one of my favorite restaurants that who was going to say, when I landed, I texted, I didn't know if they were going to get the message because cell signal was down, electricity was down, but with all his crew and whatever he had in his fridge, plus other restaurants, ingredients, we put them all together and we made sancocho, a traditional Puerto Rican stew with amazing ingredients. And we began feeding right there. That day, I think we did a couple of thousand meals, but this was the place and the beginning of what was a mission that we went from one restaurant to more than 34, 36 restaurants, from 1,000 meals to 150,000 meals, from 10 friends and cooks and chefs that we gathered the first day to thousands of volunteers that became part of our system, 10 food trucks. At the end of the day, being in many cities all across the island. At the end of the day, what you see here was the beginning of one of the first biggest operations of World Central Kitchen in a true dramatic, powerful way. Even a few weeks ago, I just was coming from Houston because Irma had a huge destruction also in Houston. So Houston was kind of the beginning of a season that proved to be very damaging and where we knew more hurricanes were going to be coming.
Okay, I love this one. This was early on in your days in Washington.
This was an important day. I think it's the first time I put in Washington, D.C. a jacket and a tie. This was a place that gave me a reason that I really belong to Washington, beyond my restaurant and my friends and partners. This is Central Kitchen. The man on my left is Robert Agar. This is the man that was a bartender that had the crazy idea to say, food waste is wrong. And there's a lot of food being wasted in hotels and restaurants. Why if we pick it up and we bring it to a kitchen and we're able to redo something with that and feed the homeless population? What if we take those homeless we are feeding and the ones that want to really try to make a change in their life, we train them to be cooks? The men and women you see in these photos are people that were homeless or ex-convicts that he brought into this kitchen, plus the food. We began making meals feeding 10,000 people a day. I was one more volunteer, cooking next to them, sometimes sharing what I knew, but very often learning more than I was able to teach. This gave me the sense that food can be an agent of change in our communities. This photo, obviously, for me as an immigrant, was a moment that I realized, okay, I belong here because I'm part of the community that is welcoming me into the community. I may be helping them, volunteering, but all of them combined, they're helping me even more.
That's nice. I have one more, and then I have to let you go. The very last one that we found.
Well, I was in the Spanish Navy, and this is saluting the Spanish flag.
Young.
I was very proud of that because
I was going to say changed my life. So handsome.
Changed my life as being on the Spanish Navy. I was cooking for the admiral, but I was able to be on a boat training with a midshipman. It was a sailing boat. It's the first time I really left Europe in a powerful way. I saw Africa and I saw Latin America and the Caribbean. First time I came to America, Pensacola, New York, Ellis Island. For me, the military service gave me this sense that we are all part of making our country better, our world better, but show me also the meaning of working as a team. When I was sailing on that four-mast tall ship, I understood that 300 people, the winds may be against us, the currents may be moving us in the wrong direction, but that if 300 people were together as one, was no wind or waves or currents that could take us away from our destination. In this case, our destiny is used to provide a better world to the people coming behind us. I have 3 daughters. I want them to live in the best possible place. And we know we have a very hard time and hard work ahead of us to bring peace around the world, to end wars, to end hunger, to end poverty. But at least I know it's many people and organizations around the world that they're giving their best to try to achieve it. Now we need to make sure we don't do good, but that we start learning how to do smart good. doing good, we're not going to solve the problems. It's like throwing money at the problem. But we start all learning how to do a smart good, we have a chance in this century to solve those issues. When you see me with boots on the ground, the only thing I'm doing is learning. So we can come up with a true plan that has a chance to provide hope to the millions that right now they feel alone, they feel forgotten, and you don't have to go to Africa or other parts that are poor in the world. These sometimes happen in our own cities. So.
It's a lovely photo.
Yeah.
I love that.
Now I'm a Spanish American. I'm very happy that the laws of both countries allow for a guy like me to have dual citizenship. Because at the end, it's immigrants like me what we do. We create bridges. And in a way, I feel I'm a bridge between
I feel that too.
the country I came from and the country I belong.
Yeah, I understand that.
And I believe immigrants like you and I, we can be building the understanding that countries should never be a war. The countries, if anything, should be always working for unity and working together to solve the problems of the people. At the end, I believe that this is what everybody wants.
I think we're translators from different words.
Yeah, we are
That's what we do.
translators. My God, I forgot about that photo.
So young,
What did
so
you got
handsome.
that photo?
Look at you. José Andrés, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for having me.